Hello, readers and writers, and welcome to Lesson 10 of your ELA School Away from School. I am Mr. Driver, and I will be your virtual teacher for today's daily lesson. Let's go ahead and get started with some guiding questions. What journey does food take before it gets to your plate? And how do we make decisions about what we eat? We'll continue to look at these questions throughout the coming weeks. All right, time to get some materials for today's lesson. You're going to need your copy of the text. You might be able to follow your Thanksgiving turkey back to the egg, your copy of lesson number 10, the number 10 lesson note catcher, as well as a pencil. Go ahead and pause the video here and make sure you have everything needed for today. We have two learning targets for today's work. I can determine the central idea of an informational text, and I can cite text-based evidence that provides the strongest support for my analysis of a text. Remember, the central message is a big idea that the author wants you to understand and take away from reading a text. Let's make sure we keep these learning targets in mind during all the work we do today. First, we will do a close read on our article. You might be able to follow your Thanksgiving turkey back to the egg. As I read aloud the article, please follow along with your eyes on the words that are being spoken. Take a moment to get your article out. It's important to hear the article read in its entirety before we start to examine section by section. Feel free to pause the video or replay it as needed. If you have your article, we'll go ahead and get started. You might be able to follow your Thanksgiving turkey back to the egg. Beneath the photo, the caption reads, "Turkey chicks stand in a poultry barn at Smotherman Farms near Waco, Texas, in October 2017. The farm is involved in a pilot project by Cargill's Honeysuckle White brand in which consumers can find out where the turkeys they buy were raised." Photo, APLM Otero. Wichita, Kansas. Daryl Glaser buys his Thanksgiving turkey at the local grocery store just like most people. He does so even though he is a turkey farmer himself. This Thanksgiving season, the Texas farmer will be able to find out where the honeysuckle white turkey he puts in his shopping cart was raised. He will even know if the bird came from his own farm. Turkey buyers in some parts of Texas will be able to use a code on the tag of the packaged bird to find out where it was raised. Customers can either text the code or enter it on the Honeysuckle White website. Doing so will provide the farm's location, photos, and message from the farmer. What traceability does is just allow us to connect with the consumer, said Glaser, who believes that connection between farmers and consumers no longer exists. People have kind of lost where their food comes from, and this is a way to reestablish that line of communication. Tagged turkey test. Glaser is an independent farmer who raises about 600,000 turkeys a year. He works for Cargill's Honeysuckle White brand. He is among 4 Texas farmers participating in the market test. The tagged turkeys in the pilot project won't cost more than untagged birds. After the test, the Minneapolis-based Cargill Incorporated and its Honeysuckle White brand say it will assess the value of tracking. Sometimes big companies are in charge of many different brands. Honeysuckle White is a brand that is part of Cargill. It is similar to the way that Reese's and Kit Kat are brands within the Hershey Chocolates Company. Farm-to-table movement. Cargill, which was founded at the end of the Civil War in 1865, is one of the biggest companies in the United States and one of the world's major food and agriculture companies. Some of its activities are controversial, though. The company has been criticized for causing environmental damage and purchasing food products grown by child laborers. After the study is complete, Cargill will decide whether it will keep using the tracking technology and will determine any price adjustments. The pilot project marks the agribusiness's giant's entry into a burgeoning farm-to-table movement. People want to know where their food comes from and how it was produced. This is also a sign of success driven by sustainable food supporters. They have been promoting such connections as a way for farmers to market locally grown and raised foods. When the big companies see that success, they are going to jump in and try to make money off of it, said Mary Funn, executive director of the Kansas Rural Center. Her organization promotes ecologically and socially responsible food systems. Turkey production is a big business. Big agribusiness companies like Cargill and Tyson were vital in concentrating poultry production on farms and processing entities, Funn said. This removed the infrastructure that used to support smaller local farmers, she said. Now Cargill is, in a sense, turning back to that model. It is trying to tap into what consumers want. They want to know where their food comes from. It is it is a tough thing because the local and regional food production and marketing system is not really able to satisfy the demand, Fund said. She added that smaller farmers will not be able to grow enough turkeys or poultry at a real local level and feed everybody. Cargill is the nation's third largest turkey producer, said Simon Shane. He's an industry consultant and professor at North Carolina State University. He also points out that the top 5 companies account for 65% of the US turkey production. Will it influence the rest of the industry? Only in respect to branded items. There is no point in doing it for generics, Shane said, but the industry is moving over to brands. Consumers talk turkey. The project will inform the company about the 2 main factors. It will show the value of increased transparency to consumers and its effect on sales, said Deborah Soka, Honeysuckle White manager. Based on those findings, Cargill will develop its digital tracking system in the United States and globally. Cargill's turkey brand is the first within the company to experiment with blockchain technology. This technology is a transparent cloud-based system. The system allows more than one person to contribute, but not change the supply chain record, said Deb Baller, Cargill's chief information officer. A supply chain is the combination of people, activities, and resources used to get a product to a consumer. Honeysuckle White points to a 2014 study of turkey consumers for support of the traceable turkeys. The study found 44% thought it was important for companies to be transparent. Honeysuckle White also points to a 2016 study from Nielsen Global Ingredients that found 73% of consumers feel positively about companies that are transparent about how they make food products. Honeysuckle White has been listening to what the consumers have said and found that when it came to feeding their family, they really want to feel confident in knowing where and how the food is raised, Soka said. Now that we have read the text together, I want you to think about a few questions. What is this article mainly about? What extra information does the title, subheadings, and pictures give you? What was the most important piece of information you read? Pause the video here as you think about each of these questions. Now it's time to have a discussion with your family member, caregiver, or a friend. Remember, the central message is the big idea that the author wants you to understand and take away from reading a text. What do you think the central message of this article is? What details from the text make you think that? What new information did you learn? Go ahead and pause the video here while you discuss these questions. Please take out your lesson number 10 note catcher. Using the lesson number 10 note catcher, write down the central idea of the text. Use at least 2 details or evidence from the text to support your initial response. Remember, when it's time to find the central message, sometimes it's actually better for you to look at the title of the article, the subheadings, and think about, is the central main idea or central idea located in any of these? But then also think about what the author truly wants you to take away after reading this. Go ahead and pause your video here while you complete this work. Time to wrap up today's lesson. Let's think about how you did with today's learning targets. I can determine the central idea of an informational text, and I can cite text-based evidence that provides the strongest support for my analysis of a text. As a closing, share your writing with someone and tell them why you chose to write what you did. Also, remember to read a book today for 20 minutes. You can also read with a family member, caregiver, or a friend. I also want you to practice your fluency by reading the article from today for 1 minute. You can use a timer or have someone count to 60. After 1 minute, count the words you read and write the number at the top of your text. Later in the week, we will do this again to see how much you've improved. Thanks for learning with me again today. Tomorrow for lesson 11, we're going to dive deeper into this week's article, examining the first half of it to better understand it. Have a great rest of your day.